A bedtime journey through the quiet currents beneath your skin. This story follows the illusions of color, the truth of light, and how your body hides beautiful secrets in plain sight. From blood cells to bending waves, from ancient painters to modern scanners, this is a soft unraveling of the question you've carried since childhood. Why are your veins blue, even when your blood is not? Hello, and welcome to a softer kind of science. You don't need to remember anything here. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to be here lying still, breathing slow, while the questions you've always carried begin to unfold. Gently, before we begin, if you're listening from somewhere quiet tonight, a bedroom, a rainy porch, a train in motion, leave a soft hello in the comments. Let us know where your mind rests when it listens. Tonight, we're going to follow something quiet, something that's lived inside you forever, just beneath your skin. Maybe you've looked at your wrist before and wondered why those delicate lines, those tiny rivers beneath the surface appear blue, even though you know your blood is not. Maybe someone once told you it's because your blood has no oxygen. Or maybe they said, it just looks that way. But tonight, we won't stop at those answers. We'll trace the light. We'll listen to the skin. We'll follow oxygen as it dances through you, brightening, darkening, never quite stopping. We'll walk through illusions that feel real, machines that don't dream, and colors that were never really their dot. And along the way, we'll remind ourselves that the body is not a diagram. It's a poem, one written in scattering light, whispered guesses, and truth soft enough to sleep beside Dot. So let your shoulders drop. Let your breath ease. There's nowhere to be but right here, because this isn't a lesson. It's a bedtime story your body has been waiting to tell you. Let's begin just beneath the skin where the mirror starts. And the mystery lives. You're lying down now. The room is quiet, the edges soft. The weight of your body has begun to settle, as if the earth is remembering you. Inside you, something stirs, not loud, not fast, but steady. A slow, pulsing rhythm. Veins. They lie just beneath your skin, like faint rivers drawn in ink, wandering from your wrists to your heart, carrying something vital, something ancient. If you lift your hand to the soft lamplight, you might see them. Bluish lines curling beneath the surface, like veins of color in marble. You've seen them 1,000 times. But tonight, we wonder about them together. Why blue? Why do they seem to shimmer like moonlight underwater when you've been told over and over that blood is red? You've asked before, perhaps as a child. And maybe someone said, it's because the blood has no oxygen. Or perhaps they simply sighed, it just looks that way. But your body, quiet and curled in rest, deserves more than a passing guess. Let's begin gently. You are made of light. That's not Poetrite's physics. Your skin, your eyes, even your thoughts, they are shaped by how light dances. Everything you see is a performance between photons and matter. Your veins are no different. They don't glow blue. They appear blue. And that difference is where the story begins. Beneath your skin, your blood flows warm and dark and rich. More burgundy than crimson, more rust than ruby. Even when it's full of oxygen, it doesn't glow like a stoplight. It moves like a shadow with a purpose. But above that flow, your skin waits a window, a filter, a storyteller. It lets in some light and sends the rest away. And that light, it chooses sides. Red light, with its long, lazy waves, dives deeper into your tissue. It gets swallowed by you, like warmth sinking into water. Blue light, with its short, sharp energy, bounces back more easily, deflected by your surface, reflected by your depth. It returns to the eye, and the eye tells the mind, this is what I see. Blue, but it isn't blue. It's a whisper of scattered light, a misreading that became belief. Your veins, Those thin blue lines are not colored by blood. They are colored by illusion. Still, what a beautiful illusion it is. It reminds you that perception is not always truth, that even your own body can surprise you, can hold a secret just beneath the skin. You are not glass, not stone. You are a living mosaic of translucence and depth. And when light reaches you, it must choose go deeper or return. What returns becomes the mirror, and the mirror does not always tell the truth. There's a softness in this mystery, a quiet comfort in knowing that not all things are what they seem. Your veins hum with this quiet trick, and yet they carry truth. They ferry life cell by cell. Without seeking attention, they are not confused by their color. Only we are. Tonight, you begin to listen to your body again, not with questions, but with wonder. You feel the pulse in your neck, a tiny tug in your ankle, the stretch of warmth in your chest. Each one is a signpost, a whisper of flow. A current beneath a still pond dot. Let your breath follow it. Let it drift like a leaf on a slow-moving stream. There's nothing to fix, nothing to solve. Dot only this moment, and the knowledge that inside you something ancient is moving. Dot. It has always moved. Even before you asked, even before you looked, and now you're beginning to see it not with your eyes, but with your awareness. Not a mirror beneath your skin, made not of glass, but of depth, of scattering light and waiting silence. And if blue can be an illusion, what else might be? If color can lie, what then is real? Close your eyes, because next we'll follow the color itself into the blood that never truly changes hue, and ask, softly, if blood is never blue, why did we believe it was? Your eyes are closed now, but inside you, something continues, a rhythm, a motion, the soft hum of blood going somewhere. Even when you go nowhere at all. Tonight, we return to that quiet current. We've seen the mirror, those blue threads on your wrist. But now we go deeper, not to follow the light, but to find the truth. Your blood is not blue, not in shadow, not in secret, not even for a moment. And yet, so many of us carry that myth, like a childhood tale that no one corrected, because it was easier, somehow, to believe what we saw than to ask what was real. Let's ask now, gently. Together, your blood is red, but not the red of roses, not fire engine, not lipstick. It's the red of aged iron, of clay in riverbeds, of warmth that's lived a long time. The reason for that color lives inside. Every red blood cell, tiny discs that float like coins through your vessels, each one carrying a metal, quiet and efficient. Iron. Iron binds to oxygen, and when it does, it changes the way it holds light. It reflects more of the red we recognize, that deep, soft red that says, I'm full, I've gathered breath, I'm ready. But when oxygen leaves, when that breath has been delivered to muscle and mind, the color darkens. Still red, but deeper, quieter, as if resting after a long task. So your blood isn't ever blue, not with oxygen, not without. It simply shifts its red. A conversation between brightness and shadow. Then why, you ask, do people say otherwise? Because confusion often grows in the gap between what we see and what we understand. Medical books once shaded diagrams with blue and red to mark the difference between oxygen-rich arteries and oxygen-poor veins. Blue for the return, red for the release. But somewhere along the way, we forgot the key. We saw the blue lines on our skin and the blue in the books, and assumed they match. They don't. The truth was never meant to be hidden, only simplified. And simplicity can sometimes become its own illusion. Your blood is honest. It doesn't try to fool you. It just does its work, quietly, faithfully. Every minute, your heart sends out about 5 liters of blood, carrying oxygen like a lantern through a winding cave. The hemoglobin inside your red blood cells is the flame that it binds to oxygen in the soft walls of your lungs and releases it to your tissues, your brain, your fingertips. This transfer, this sacred offering, happens again and again, without announcement, without thanks. When the oxygen leaves, your blood carries carbon dioxide, back a message written in reverse. And even then, it is red, just darker, like twilight is still day, like embers are still fire. And yet the myth of blue blood clings not just in textbooks, but in culture. There are stories of blue-blooded nobles, whose pale skin made their veins seem bluer, who believed their blood was different, purer, perhaps more rare, but the science never agreed. Their blood, like yours, was the color of life, not lineage. Still, myths comfort us. They wrap the unknown in language we can hold. So if you once believed your blood was blue, don't worry. That belief was part of your learning, a stepping stone to the truth. Now you see more clearly, not just the color, but the motion. Imagine this now: your red blood cells, millions upon millions, circulating with quiet purpose. Some are fresh with oxygen, like sunrise. Some are spent and dark, like dusk, but all are moving. All are part of the same cycle. Like waves returning to shore, like leaves falling back to earth. Color is not static. It shifts with time, with purpose, with breath. And your body, your beautiful living body, knows how to read this shifting color without needing to name it. Your tissues, your organs, your brain, they take what they need from blood's offering, not from its hue, because truth in the body is not about what the eye sees. It's about what is carried, what is given, what is shared. You are a cathedral of exchange, air for silence, nutrients for stillness, red for rest. And in that rhythm, you begin to feel how science and softness can live in the same breath. So tonight, let your mind rest in that knowing. The color of your life is not a label, but a journey from light to shadow and back again. And as your thoughts begin to float and your limbs begin to loosen, ask yourself, if blood is never blue, then what else might we have misread, simply because we trusted the surface too soon? What else, beneath the skin, waits to be seen clearly for the first time? Close your eyes and listen now, because next we'll follow the light as it enters your skin and ask, what happens when color meets the body and the body becomes the storyteller? Light has no edges. Even when your eyes are closed, it brushes against you, quiet, soft, unnoticed. It does not ask for permission. It arrives in waves, like a tide of colorless whispers, passing through air, slipping into skin. Right now, as you lie still and calm, light is finding you. Not the full, sharp brightness of the day, but the slow breath of ambient light, what lingers in corners, what dances behind curtains, what hums in the space between dark and dawn. Your skin receives it like a page receives ink, not all at once, but in gentle layers. And this is where the story begins, because your skin, this silent shield you wear, is not just a wall. It is a storyteller, a translator, a map drawn in molecules. It doesn't simply block or absorb, it interprets. It lets some light dive deep, while sending other light back to the world, colored by the journey it took. Let's trace that journey now. Imagine light as a chorus, each color its own voice, singing in waves, some low and slow, some fast and high. Red. Light travels in long, deep waves. It's calm, heavy-footed, like a slow dancer across a wide floor. When red light reaches your skin, it often dives in, sinking past layers of cells and vessels, past water and collagen, into deeper tissue. It doesn't scatter easily. It penetrates. It soaks into you. That's why the color red feels warm. It is warm. It gives more than it reflects. Now imagine blue. Blue light is restless, quick, impatient. Its waves are short and sharp, like tapping fingertips. When blue light touches your skin, it doesn't go far. It meets resistance. It bounces. The outer layers of your skin scatter it back out to the world, into the eye. And this is where illusion begins. The blues stay longer, not because they belong inside you, but because they refuse to go in. They reflect. They echo. And what echoes becomes what we see. So when you look at your veins, what reaches your eyes is not the deep red that's absorbed, but the blue that turned away. Your skin wrote that story. It decided which light to keep and which to return. In that return, color is born. Skin is not a simple surface. It is layered epidermis, dermis, hypodermis, each one acting like a different lens, a different texture of glass. Some layers are dense with cells, others with fat or fiber. Together, they bend and scatter light like rivers over stones, like fog in early morning. The result is not a single truth, but an impression what your eyes gather and what your brain completes. Light enters, light exits, but in between it is transformed. Just like words in translation, just like feelings in memory. This is why your skin glows differently in candlelight than it does in daylight. Why your face softens in sunsets. Why your hands look bluer in winter shadow. Light meets you and is changed by you. It does not simply land. It listens. It reacts. And in that reaction, your skin tells its story. Sometimes it tells the truth. Sometimes a version of it. But always, it speaks in wavelengths. Let's imagine a single beam of white light approaching your arm. White light, though it seems colorless, is actually full a blend of every visible color. When it touches your skin, the journey begins. The red wavelengths dive in. The green ones waver. The blues hesitate and bounce back. Your skin sends them back and keeps the rest. What your eyes see is not the light itself, but the leftover echo, the filtered music of light. And that's what makes skin appear the way it does, a blend of what light stays and what escapes. This is also why bruises change color, first deep blue, then purple, then green and yellow. It's not just healing. It's light meeting pigments that are breaking down, restructuring, changing the way they absorb and reflect. Even the shadows beneath your eyes, or the pink in your cheeks, are shaped more by light's behavior than blood's intent. All negotiation. You are not just flesh in function. You are reflection, refraction, absorption. The science of color is not about dyes. It is about journeys, what light goes where and how far. That's why your veins look blue. Not because they are, but because blue light never got in. It turned around, echoed out, and found your eyes. You believed it. So did I, so did almost everyone. But now you know better. Not to disbelieve your eyes, but to understand them. To see. With more than vision, to see with knowledge, with softness. Even science, at its core, is a form of storytelling. Light is the narrator. Skin is the editor. Perception is the page. And here you are, held in the in-between, where meaning takes form. From waves that can't be held, let this thought linger. You are colored not just by what you are, but by how the world meets you. By which wavelengths return, and which become a part of you. And isn't that its own kind of poetry? So when someone says, your skin glows, they may be more right than they know. You are a participant in light, a painter, a reflector, a receiver. And deep inside, beneath all the color, the real work continues. Blood moving, oxygen trading places, cells waiting for what comes next. But before we return to the blood and its dark, shifting shades, there is one more shadow to visit, a kind made not by color, but by what color cannot reach. A shadow not of darkness, but of depth. Because some veins are not mirrors. They are silhouettes. And in the next chapter, we step gently into those shadows. Made of blood, your body is still. The breath has slowed. The night presses softly against the window, and your skin, that storyteller of light, lies calm beneath the hushed dot. But beneath the quiet, there are movements you do not see. A pulse, a flow, a hidden choreography. You've heard that veins are tunnels, that they carry blood like highways through your frame. And in a way, that's true. But the way you see them, those blue threads beneath your wrist, those faint lines near your temple, it's not structure, Dot. It's shadow, not cast by something blocking light, but by something transforming it. Let's imagine this. A thin blue vein across your arm, its color soft, like morning fog. But that color doesn't come from what's inside. Now it comes from what the light refuses to carry out. The red light dives too deep. The blue bounces back. The vein becomes a space where less light returns. A quiet echo in the spectrum. And in that absence, your mind paints it blue. Not because blue is there, but because blue is what's left after everything else sinks away. This is not deception. It is honesty in a different language. Your veins are not blue rivers flowing just beneath the surface. They are pockets of partial return, wells of soft shadow, where your body and light agree to disagree. Look again, if you can. Not with your eyes, but with your understanding. That faint blue line is a decision made by photons, not a statement of pigment, but of travel. It's as if the light steps close to your skin, knocks gently, and decides this path is too deep. I'll turn around. And so what comes back is not the whole story, just the echo of an attempt. Every shadow, every blue illusion, is a record of light's retreat. But isn't that a kind of truth too? Not the truth of substance, but of behavior. Of how something invisible responds to your shape. Your body doesn't lie. It simply speaks in the tongue of physics. And physics, for all its laws and numbers, has room for poetry. Because what is a shadow, if not a poem written by the absence of something bright? And so we find ourselves walking among these soft shadows, these quiet translations of color and depth. Your veins are not trying to be seen. They are simply there. But light, in its selective generosity, makes them appear as something else. You, the observer, receive that appearance as fact. But now, you begin to recognize the beautiful uncertainty of what you see. Let this settle. A vein is not a color. It is a path, a passage, a soft tube of tissue surrounded by story. And when light falls upon it, that story is rewritten again and again, depending on the angle, the pigment, the depth, the light itself. Some shadows are made not of darkness, but of information withheld. And in that quiet withholding, a new kind of beauty emerges. Not blue, but almost blue. Not truth, but close enough to carry the comfort of recognition. So tonight, as your body slips further into rest, you are wrapped in a deeper, knowing that even the illusions inside you are rooted in laws, in rhythms, in light's soft refusal to complete the picture. And that refusal isn't betrayal. It's permission to keep wondering, to keep looking closer, because the next time you see a vein, you might not ask what color it is. You might ask instead, how far did the light travel before it turned around? And what else inside you wears the colors of retreat more than arrival? Let's stay here for a moment, in this quiet curve of half-visible truths, because soon we'll look beyond your skin into the eyes that believe the shadow and trace how the brain turns waves into words. And sometimes into beautiful mistakes. Close your eyes now and picture this. A world still spinning, even though you're no longer watching. That's how it feels, doesn't it? When sleep begins to wrap around your thoughts, you let go, but the world continues anyway. And in the same way, even when your eyes are open, what you see isn't always what's there. Not fully. Not exactly, because your eyes are not glass lenses, capturing truth. They are interpreters, translators, sometimes even poets. They don't show you the world, they show you a version of it, the one they think you'll understand. And often, the version is beautiful. But not quite right. This is not a failure. It's a feature. Let's slow down together and walk through how vision works and how, sometimes, it gently leads us astray. Light enters your eye, as it does into any lens. It passes through the cornea, then the pupil, adjusted by the iris, that colored ring that blooms and narrows, depending on brightness. Behind that, the lens shifts shape like a soft magnifying glass, focusing the light onto the retina, the paper. At the back of your eye, the retina is no blank page. It's a field of cells, photoreceptors that absorb light and whisper its secrets to the brain. There are two main kinds, rods and cones. Rods handle shadow and motion. They see in grayscale. They're why you notice movement in the dark, but not color. Cones, on the other hand, are tuned to color. And there are three kinds, one for red, one for green, one for blue. These cones don't see color as it exists. They each respond to different ranges of wavelength, and together, they send signals to your brain that say, this mix, that's orange. This pattern, that's lavender. It's a negotiation, a blending. There is no blue in the eye itself. Just waves, just frequencies, just electrical signals. The brain reads these signals like a musician reads notes, turning them into songs of meaning. And like any artist, sometimes the brain takes liberties. When your eye sees a vein, it notices the absence of red light. A deeper light was absorbed. It notices more blue light returning, scattered gently back. So the cones tune to blue fire more often than the others. And the brain, ever helpful, says, ah, blue. It's not wrong exactly. It's just limited. Your brain does not care about accuracy in the way a camera might. It cares about coherence. It wants the world to make sense. And if it has to guess, it will. Quickly, quietly, before you even notice. This is called perceptual inference, your brain filling in blanks. Based on past experience, context, and pattern. It's why you sometimes see faces in clouds, or hear your name in the hum of a fan, or see blue in veins that hold only red. You are not broken. You are interpreting. Your perception is a conversation, not a photograph. And the conversation is full of shortcuts. One is color constancy, a beautiful illusion that helps you see a banana as yellow in both sunlight and shade. Your brain adjusts the colors based on the lighting around them, a built-in editing system, so the world remains familiar. But this also means the same object can appear completely different under new light, and you wouldn't know. Remember the infamous dress? Was it blue and black, or white and gold? It wasn't about the dress. It was about assumption, what your brain believed about the light in the picture. Some saw it lit by shadow, others by bright light. Each brain corrected based on its own best guess. Neither was lying. Each was dreaming. Just like with your veins. Another shortcut is edge detection. Your brain loves contrast. It exaggerates the edges of shapes and shadows so you can spot a tiger in the trees or read words on a page. But this love for contrast means your brain will sometimes invent edges where there are none, or deepen a shadow that doesn't exist. This is why the area around a vein can appear brighter, making the vein itself look darker than it really is. It's not just the color you see, it's the context. Think of after images. Stare at something bright red, then look away, and you might see green. That's not your eyes malfunctioning. That's your cones recovering from overstimulation. The red cones tire out, and in their absence, the green cones shine through. It's another reminder that what you see is often a temporary agreement between exhaustion and recovery. And this happens all the time, with every blink, with every shift of focus. Your vision is a rolling average, not a snapshot. Even your blind spot, a literal hole in your visual field where the optic nerve exits the eye, is patched over by your brain. You don't see it because your mind fills it in seamlessly. That's how devoted your perception is to continuity, to the illusion of wholeness. Even when there's a gap, you never notice, because your brain wants you to believe you are seeing everything, even when you're not. And so, when you look at your skin and see veins that appear blue, you're not being fooled. You're being protected, guided, given a version of the world that is good enough to live in. Blue is a placeholder, a symbol for something deeper. The brain says, you don't need the whole story, just one that keeps you safe, that lets you move forward. It's not deception. It's compassion. Let that soothe you. Your brain isn't broken. It's creative, adaptive, clever, and yes, sometimes mistaken, but always trying to help. You walk through a world filled with guesses and approximations, and somehow they work. You survive. You find beauty. You fall in love with reflections, with colors, with skies and eyes and shadows. Even when none of it is quite as it seems. That's the wonder of being human. Seeing through a filter that dreams while it sees. Now, as your thoughts begin to loosen and the veil of sleep begins to lower, hold on to this soft truth. Not everything you see is what's really there, but sometimes what's almost true is enough to make the world feel whole. So tonight, let your vision rest. Let your brain stop guessing. Let the light go dim. And in that quiet, we'll go even deeper, not through sight, but through sensation, into the dance between oxygen and blood, and how breath paints color from the inside out. Now you lie here, still and unhurried, wrapped in the hush of half sleep. But inside you, something is always moving. Something quieter than your breath, quieter than your thoughts. It is the movement of oxygen, the invisible dancer. She never touches the floor, never makes a sound, but she's always arriving, always leaving, always exchanging. And she changes your blood with every step, not in shape, not in structure, but in color. Let's begin in the lungs, those soft, pink, open hands folded beneath your ribs. With every inhale, they take in the air. Not just wind, but possibility. Air is made of many things, mostly nitrogen. But what matters most tonight is oxygen. Tiny, floating molecules drifting in from the sky, slipping into your lungs with your breath. They pass through thin membranes, like whispers through silk, into capillaries, where red blood cells wait like dancers in a line. And in those cells, a molecule called hemoglobin reaches out. It does not grab. It welcomes. Each hemoglobin can carry 4 oxygen molecules, cradling them, not trapping them. Together, they form a bond, temporary, but full of purpose. And in that bond, something changes. The blood turns bright red, not painted, not lit, but shifted. Its shape, its energy, its interaction with light. Oxygen makes blood shine with color. A signal. I am full. I am ready. I am going. This is oxygenated blood. It travels from the lungs, through arteries, to every part of you too. The fingertips, to the brain, to the beating heart. And along the way, oxygen steps off. Not all at once. One molecule at a time. Hemoglobin lets go, not reluctantly, but gracefully. Each cell that receives oxygen uses it like fuel. To move, to divide, to repair, to think. Without oxygen, there is no spark. But once the oxygen leaves, the red blood cell changes. Not in its mission. In its hue, the bright red dims. The blood becomes darker, not blue. Never blue, but the color of autumn leaves, of quiet coals. This is deoxygenated blood. Still vital, still alive, just returning. Veins carry this darker blood back to the lungs where the dance begins again. Inhale. Oxygen enters. Hemoglobin welcomes. Color brightens. Exhale. Oxygen departs. Color deepens. All day. All night. In circles. In rhythm. Even now, as you rest, the dance continues. And in that dance is the reason for the myth. Because oxygen-rich blood, flowing in arteries near the surface, is usually hidden. It dives deep, protected, pressurized. What we tend to see are the veins, the return routes, carrying darker blood closer to the skin. And when the blue light bounces back, we believe what we see. Blue must mean less oxygen. Blue must mean blood. But that blue is not from the blood. It is from the skin, from the scattering of light, from the brain's interpretation. The actual blood even now remains red. Always. Only darker or lighter, depending on oxygen's presence. It is oxygen that gives blood its glow, its readiness, its brightness, and it is oxygen's departure that softens the color again. Like a flame settling after the fuel runs low. There is no drama, only grace, only cycles. Oxygen doesn't fight. It dances. It moves through you as though you were a forest breathing with the wind. You do not feel it, but you live because of it. Every heartbeat sends more dancers forward. Every exhale makes room for their return. And still you rest. And still your cells are lit by this silent exchange. Let your mind walk with it. From lung to heart, heart to hand, hand to mind. From oxygen's arrival to its gentle release. Let your thoughts become red, bright and full, then deep and quiet again. Let your breath mimic it, the rise, the fall, the giving, the letting go. This is the music of the body. A song made of silence, repeated endlessly. And even in that repetition, there is wonder. No two breaths are exactly the same. No two red blood cells take the same exact path. And oxygen, that quiet companion, never demands attention. She just offers. Leaves. And returns. Again. And again. And again. You are lit from within by something you cannot see. And isn't that a kind of miracle? That your color, your temperature, your thoughts all depend on something weightless, something silent, something drifting on the breath you don't even notice. So as you continue resting, know that your body doesn't need to be told how to dance. It already knows, even in sleep. Especially in sleep. And when you wake, your blood will still be moving. Your breath will still be offering. Your cells will still be catching each invisible note. But before that, we have one more surface to cross. Because your skin, that radiant, layered veil, is not just a filter for light. It's a window, a canvas, a translator of truth. And just beneath it, the illusion continues. Let's look at the skin again, not from the inside out, but from the surface in, and ask, how does your skin decide what the world is allowed to see? Your body rests. Still, quiet, folding softly into night, and over it a liar skin. A gentle border between your inner world and everything else. But it's not a wall. It never was. Your skin is not stone. It is not an armor nor a solid line of defense. It is a conversation. A mosaic of light and cells, memory and movement, boundary and permission. It is, in many ways, a window, but not a clear one. More like stained glass, layered, textured, uneven, colored by time, and shaped by both what enters and what never quite makes it through. Tonight, we press our thoughts gently to that window and look in and look out. Let's begin with the outermost layer, the epidermis. It is the first thing the world meets when it touches you. Thin, yet vital. It holds the patterns of your fingerprints, the tones of your complexion, the outlines of freckles, scars, and lines that make you you. This layer is made of keratinocyte cells that die as they rise, flattening into armor, into dust waiting to flake away. But even in death, they protect you. They scatter light. They speak for you. Beneath that is the dermis, a thicker, richer fabric woven with collagen and elastin. Here live your capillaries, your touch receptors, your roots of hair, your sweat. And oil glands. This layer is where life hums louder, where blood comes close to light, where feeling becomes form. And then deeper still is the hypodermis, a foundation of fat and soft cushioning, a place of warmth and insulation, a buffer between your organs and the outer world. These three layers are not barriers. They are filters. They decide what enters, what stays, what reflects. Light, too, must pass through them, and in that passage, light is changed. Think again of white light, a blend of colors traveling together. When it hits your skin, some wavelengths are absorbed, some pass through, some bounce back. Your melanin, the pigment in your skin, plays a powerful role. It absorbs ultraviolet light, protecting you from its harm. It also deepens your skin tone, adding warmth, shade, variation. But more than color, melanin shapes the story of light. More melanin means more light is caught before it can enter, more red absorbed, more blue deflected. So the illusion of blue veins, more visible on lighter skin, is partly a trick of contrast. The less pigment, the less light is absorbed at the surface, allowing more to scatter and paint those familiar shadows beneath. But this isn't about comparison. This is about conversation. Skin, in every shade, in every texture, is a translator of light. It takes what is offered, changes it, and offers something new in return. Have you noticed how your skin looks different under different skies? Golden in sunlight, pale beneath fluorescent hum, luminous by candlelight. The same skin, but a different conversation each time, because the story your skin tells is always co-authored by the light that touches it. And beneath that light, your veins respond, your vessels shift. The warmth of your blood comes closer or retreats. Even emotion becomes visible. Blushing, paling, flushing, not painted from the outside, but stirred from within. Skin listens, then speaks. Sometimes in red, sometimes in blue, sometimes in silence. Think of the way light bends around the corners of your arm, the soft shadows between fingers, the glow of your skin in the bath or beneath moonlight. All of that filtered through layers you do not feel, but always carry. Even the light that does not reach your eyes leaves a mark. It warms. It penetrates. It changes what you cannot see. Infrared warms you. Ultraviolet triggers responses you may never notice. But your skin knows. It keeps a record. It adjusts. It protects. It whispers its decisions without asking for applause. And when you look at your arm and see a vein, what you're seeing is not the vein itself. You're seeing the light that was rejected. You're seeing a filtered reflection of shadow, not substance. The blue is not inside you. It is born in the moment when light meets skin and chooses what to show you. But not all light is visible. Some penetrates deep without ever revealing itself to the eye. Infrared travels far into tissue. Doctors use it to see through the skin. Photographers use it to reveal veins with startling clarity. Other wavelengths do not pass at all. They are blocked by the epidermis, reflected before they can enter. Your skin decides, moment by moment, what the world is allowed to see. And in doing so, it teaches us something profound. Perception is always partial, always translated, always shaped by what could not get through. You are not only what is visible, you are also what is filtered, what is absorbed, what is carried inside, never reaching the surface. Your skin holds back so much, not out of secrecy, but out of care. Too much sunlight, and it shields you. Too much cold, and it shivers for you. Too much pain, and it sends a message inward, so you can respond before it breaks. It is a boundary, yes, but one that breathes, one that listens, one that speaks. So tonight, as your breath grows slower and your thoughts begin to float, feel the edges of your body not as borders, but as invitations. Your skin is not a line. It's a space where light and matter meet and become something new, something seen, something felt, something remembered. And just beneath that skin, just past the window's edge, the illusion lives on, not to deceive, but to simplify, to guide, to soften. And so we ask, if your skin shapes light into shadow, what else does it shape that we never even see? What emotions rise, then fade before they reach the surface? What memories linger in pigment, or pulse in warmth, long after the moment has passed? There is more to see, always more. And next, we'll step out of the body entirely into the eyes of those who tried to paint what they saw, even when they knew it wasn't quite true, because sometimes art listens more carefully than science ever could. There is something soft in how art remembers the body, not precise, not perfect, but full of feeling. A truth you can feel even if it's not quite real. And nowhere is this more visible than in the way painters have always painted veins. Blue, always blue, even when they knew better, long before we understood scattering light, before we spoke of melanin or wavelength, before we could even name the oxygen clinging to hemoglobin. Artists were already painting what the eye believed, what the eye felt, not just what it saw, but what it wanted to see. Let us begin in Florence. In the 15th century, beneath ceilings and on altar walls, Renaissance painters began to explore the living body with reverent curiosity. They studied anatomy. They opened the human form in the name of understanding, tracing muscles, tendons, bones. Leonardo da Vinci, with his silver point lines and fragile notebooks, knew that veins carried blood. He sketched them not just as blue lines, but as rivers, soft channels curving beneath skin. He labeled them, numbered them, mapped them, and still, when brush touched canvas, he chose blue, because blue was what the eye whispered. And Da Vinci, though a scientist, was also a listener. Art listens first, then paints. Across Europe, in fresco and oil, artists rendered saints and sinners with veins like blue silk threads braided across wrists, tracing arms, arching across collarbones, sometimes faint, sometimes luminous, always blue. Why? Because the truth, as seen by the body, is not always the truth as measured by science. Art understood this. Art honored this. In the same way your brain sees the sky as blue, even though the air is clear, your eye sees the vein as blue, even though the blood is red. The artist simply agreed, and yet even agreement takes intention. To paint a vein blue is to choose illusion, but it's also to choose connection. Blue veins are familiar, recognizable, comforting. Even they tell the viewer, this body is real. This arm, this hand, belongs to someone like you. Blue veins create intimacy. They remind us that the subject breathes, that blood moves, that life is here just beneath the surface. In some cases, blue wasn't just a choice. It was precious, ultramarine. A pigment made from crushed lapis lazuli was once more valuable than gold. To use it was to honor the subject. To place blue on skin was to say, this person matters. You'll find it on the robes of Mary, the halos of angels, and sometimes along the wrist of a child held in a Madonna's arms. Blue meant divinity, depth, truth wrapped in beauty. Even if it wasn't medically accurate, it felt emotionally right. And art, like the body, is not obligated to explain itself. It only needs to feel. In Eastern iconography, you'll see blue skin entirely. Krishna, Shiva, figures of myth and cosmic rhythm. Here, blue isn't about veins, but about energy, a color beyond the human, stretching into the divine. And even that tells us something. That blue soft, Distant, deep has always felt like something more mysterious, more essential, more internal. A glimpse into what we're not meant to fully understand. In more recent centuries, with the advent of realism, artists still chose blue not just in veins, but in shadows, in the coolness of morning skin, in the asum, breath beneath pale cheeks. Impressionists let blue dance between the brush strokes. Modernists broke bodies into color and rebuilt them again, always. There was room for the blue that isn't really there, because art is not about correcting the world. It's about translating it. And when your skin whispers a blue that isn't true, the artist hears it and paints it anyway. But now, let's step away from paint and back into perception. Even today, medical illustrators, those whose job is to teach, not to decorate, often use blue to mark veins. Blue for veins, red for arteries, a color-coded map for students to follow. And still, it shapes belief. The diagram becomes memory. The memory becomes knowledge. And knowledge becomes myth. Even when we know blood is red, we remember it as blue. And so the artist's choice, once symbolic, becomes shared, passed on, repeated. Until it becomes a kind of cultural truth, not scientific, but emotional. And what does that tell us? That perhaps what we see, what we draw, what we paint and believe, it's not just about light, not just about science. It's about connection, recognition, intuition. A blue vein on a wrist isn't a fact. It's a feeling, a reminder that something is moving beneath, that something inside us keeps time, holds warmth, stays hidden, but asks to be seen, even if only as color, even if only in suggestion. So tonight, as you lie still beneath your own skin, imagine the artist within you, the part of your mind that chooses wonder over certainty, and let it paint. Let it see the blue. Let it love the illusion. Let it believe in the story your body tells, not because it's accurate, but because it's true in some deeper, wordless way. Let your breath move like brushstrokes. Let your veins hum with soft pigment. Let your skin become canvas. Not for anyone else, but for yourself. Because the body does not only belong to science. It belongs to experience, to art, to myth. And somewhere, beneath both brush and biology, truth and color are dancing, just as your blood and breath do. But what happens when we stop painting and start scanning? When we put down the brush and pick up the machine, what does your body look like through lenses that don't believe in illusion? What happens when art steps aside and lets infrared, X-ray, and ultrasound tell their version of the story? Let's look through those lenses next and see what light still hides even when technology tries to reveal it all. There is a hush inside the machine, a sound like breathing, but more mechanical, a rhythm that isn't quite human, but still feels intimate. You lie still. The room is cool. A screen glows. And suddenly, your body becomes data, a pulse of energy, a wave of sound, a field of light invisible to the eye. This is the world under the scanner's eye. Science, for all its clarity, does not begin with truth. It begins with looking. And looking, as we've seen, can be tricky. Our eyes tell one story. Our minds edit it. And somewhere along the way, we believe what feels close enough. But machines don't blink. They don't dream. They don't guess. They scan. They bounce waves. They record. And yet they, too, have limitations. Let's step into that strange, glowing space where the body is no longer flesh and color, but shadow and signal. First, ultrasound. It begins with sound, but not the kind you hear. High-frequency waves, too fast for the human ear, are sent into the body. They pass through layers skin, fat, muscle, until they meet something that responds. Fluid, organ, tissue wall. There, sound bounces back, a return echo, A message made of time. The machine listens. It measures how long the wave took to return, how strong the bounce was, how deep it came from and it draws you not with lines, but with reflections, with delays, with scatter. And in those echoes, it maps your inside world, a baby's heartbeat, a liver's edge, a vein's soft course. Ultrasound is a kind observer. It uses no radiation, no harsh intrusion, just sound and silence. It reminds us that even what we cannot hear still speaks. Next, infrared. This is the light beneath the light. You cannot see it, but you can feel it as warmth. Infrared cameras detect heat, and in doing so, they show us how blood moves. They reveal inflammation, injury, circulation. A body at rest glows in gradients. The face, warm with vessels close to the surface. The hands, cool at the fingertips, hotter at the palms. It looks like a painting, blue for cool, red for heat, yellow in between. A strange mirror. One that reflects energy, not color. And yet color is still used, not because it's there, but because it helps us see. The machine does not know blue from red. We assign it, we choose it, to help our minds interpret what the eye alone cannot. Even machines, it seems, are invited to dream in color. Now, step deeper. X-ray. This one sees bones. It sees the firm, the solid, the hidden scaffolding of your form. X-rays are high-energy light waves, able to pass through soft tissue, but not through dense materials like calcium. So when you stand before an X-ray beam, most of your body becomes ghost transparent, ethereal. But your bones remain. Your teeth, your spine, your ribs. It is not color that defines you here, but contrast. Black and white, shadow and brightness, presence and absence. The lungs appear dark, filled with air. The bones, white, blocking the light. It is stark, honest, clear. But even this truth requires interpretation. A trained eye must read the patterns, understand the spacing, notice what's missing or misplaced, because even in clarity, meaning is not automatic. It must be learned, held, considered. Then there is MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, a marvel of physics, using magnets and radio waves to coax your atoms into telling their secrets. When you enter the MRI machine, your body's hydrogen atoms align with a magnetic field. A pulse of energy disturbs them. They spin, they vibrate. And when the pulse ends, they return to alignment, releasing tiny signals as they do. Those signals are recorded, mapped, stacked, and out of this symphony of invisible vibration, a picture emerges. Just of bones, but of soft tissues. The brain, the spine, muscles, nerves. It's like painting with magnets. And here, too, color is often added, not because the body glows with it, but because we understand better in color. One hue for fat, another for fluid, a third for blood flow. The machine sees values. We add the shades. The machine sees numbers. We make them bloom. Even CT scans, computed tomography, rely on slices. Cross-sections of your body, taken one layer at a time, stacked like pages of a book. And with each page, your internal world is revealed in grayscale. But again, color arrives. Aided by contrast dye, doctors highlight vessels, organs, tumors, blockages. They trace the blood as it moves through arteries. They light up veins like rivers on a map. Truth, again, made legible through a dream of color. So what does this mean? It means that even when we stop trusting the eye, even when we turn to machines, we never fully leave behind the language of illusion. We still color what is not colored. We still shape the unseen into forms the mind can hold, because understanding is not just measurement. It's storytelling. And science, for all its tools, is still a story we tell ourselves about what matters. Machines do not lie. But they do not understand. They reveal. We interpret. And in that space between signal and meaning, there is always room for imagination. So lie back now. Let the scanner rest. Let the wavelengths pass. Let your body remain unmeasured for a while. You are more than what the lenses catch. More than heat maps and echo delays. More than contrast dye and cross-sections. You are stillness and movement, structure and mystery, data and feeling. And even with every tool of science, some part of you remains untranslated, just out of reach, soft as breath. Still yours. And now, as the hum of machinery fades, we ask, with all these truths revealed, why does the myth still linger? Why do we still believe that blood is blue, that veins are sapphire strings, that the body is telling us a lie we still want to believe? Maybe it's time to explore not what we see, but why we choose to see it that way. Because sometimes myths outlast machines. And sometimes the illusion endures because it comforts more than the truth ever could. The room is still now. The story has slowed, like breath before sleep, like twilight softening into night. You followed the journey through the eye, the skin, the blood, through waves and pigments and myths. And yet the question remains. The same one that lingered at the edge of childhood thought. If your blood isn't blue, why does the world keep telling you it is? Why, even now, with all this knowing, does the myth still cling like a soft shawl around your shoulders? It would be easy to dismiss it, to say the body is red and radiant and leave the rest behind. But you feel it, don't you? A part of you still sees the blue in the bend of your wrist, in the hollow of your elbow. And it feels true, not because it is, but because it's been with you for so long. Some stories do that. They settle. They stay. Not because they are correct, but because they are comforting. And this is one of them. There's something poetic about blue blood, about the thought of cool rivers running quietly beneath your skin, far from the heat of the heart. It suggests mystery, depth, distance. Red feels loud, urgent, public. But blue is private, silent, sacred. It's the color of veins in moonlight, of solitude, of thoughts that echo inward. Maybe that's why the myth remains, because in it we find ourselves. And let's not forget what blue means outside the body. The color of sky and sea, of shadows at the edge of vision. It represents stillness, melancholy, reflection. It feels calm. It feels deep. So when the body whispers blue, even if it's a trick of light, you listen. You believe it. Because belief is not always about evidence. Sometimes it's about belonging. Science has shown us the truth. We've followed the photons, the scattering, the way red dives and blue reflects. We've mapped the blood, watched oxygen arrive and leave, stood beneath the scanner's eye, and seen what the body truly holds. But even science has learned to speak in color, to illustrate veins in blue, not because they are, but because we expect them to be. Because the image, though flawed, is clear, and clarity, even when born of illusion, can be useful. That's the quiet power of myth. It doesn't need to be factual to be functional. It fills the spaces where logic hasn't reached, or where it's simply not enough. And the body so full of systems and signals still makes room for softness. For not knowing, for wonder. Your veins don't need to be blue to hold beauty. But the idea that they are the quiet grace of that image has lived in your imagination for so long. It has a heartbeat of its own. And maybe not all stories are meant to be replaced just because they're wrong. Maybe some are meant to be held, examined, loved, and then gently set aside. Not with shame, but with gratitude, because they walked with us through childhood books, through bedtime questions, through drawings and diagrams, and curious stares at the back of our hands. And isn't that a kind of truth, too? Not the kind that fills textbooks, but the kind that lives in the space between memory and meaning. We are not machines. We are not built for pure precision. We are dreamers, translators, witnesses to a world that we are still learning how to see. So, when we see blue where there is none, in a vein, in a shadow, in a thought, we are not failing. We are reaching toward understanding, toward coherence, toward a story that feels like home. Tonight, your body is the same as it always has been. Your blood still moves, still breathes with oxygen, still darkens as it returns. Your skin still scatters light, still filters waves, still offers illusion in the name of protection. And your eyes, those brilliant storytellers, still paint the world in interpretations. Including your own body, including the blue that isn't there. But now you know, now you see, not just what's real, but why you once believed otherwise. And that knowledge doesn't erase the wonder. It deepens it, because in knowing how the myth was made, you learn something more profound, that truth and illusion are not always opposites. Sometimes they are partners, dancing like oxygen and hemoglobin, like light and skin, like science and art. Each making the other more visible. So let yourself drift now. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts soften. Let the story rest beside you, the real one, the imagined one, and everything in between, because your body holds them all. And maybe it doesn't need to choose. Maybe the body, in its quiet brilliance, was never asking to be solved. Only witnessed, only listened to, only loved in color, in shadow, in truth, in myth. And now, as this story begins to end, you can feel it not a conclusion, but a circle, the kind that blood knows well, the kind that light understands. Maybe, as your eyes grow heavier, you realize the question was never, is my blood blue? But instead, what does it mean to see yourself clearly, even when the image is painted in illusion? And perhaps you don't need the answer. Not tonight. Not yet. Some things are meant to stay soft and glowing and slightly unfinished, like a dream you almost remember. Let it drift. Let it be. And in the quiet, as your breath becomes steady, one final truth remains. Your body is not made of facts. It is made of rhythm, of mystery, of wonder that doesn't always need explaining. And that still matters. And now we've reached the quiet edge of the question. Not an answer, but a soft place to rest beside it. You followed the light as it bent and scattered across your skin. You've watched your blood change color with every silent breath. You've seen how machines listen without understanding, and how even artists paint what isn't quite there, because sometimes the illusion feels more human than the truth. And so what if your veins look blue? Maybe it matters less whether they are, and more why we believe they are. Because the body is more than tissue and truth. It's memory. It's metaphor. It's the stories we carry without ever being told. And sometimes those stories are painted in error, but remembered in tenderness. Your body isn't broken for dreaming. It's brilliant for interpreting. It's not confused. It's creative. You are made not just of cells, but of meaning. Not just of breath, but of wonder. So tonight, let your body go quiet without needing to explain itself. Let your thoughts loosen. Let the myth rest beside the science. Let both be true in their own way, because not every answer needs to end the question. Some answers simply let you sleep. If this helped you drift a little slower into your night, maybe share it with someone who still wonders why their own story feels a little blue beneath the skin. And until next time, breathe gently, rest kindly, and let the silence carry you home.